It's tough to even know where to start with this one.
Yeah.
We're diving into a story
Yeah.
out of Laurel County, Kentucky, and
It's a heavy one.
yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
This is one that just kind of sits with you, and it's one of those stories that just leave you kind of shaking your head, like,
Yeah. How could this happen?
how could this possibly happen?
So on December 23rd, 2024,
Okay.
a 63-year-old man named Douglas Harless
Okay.
lost his life in a police shooting in Laurel County, Kentucky.
Hmm.
The real tragedy here
Yeah.
is that the police were at the wrong house,
Oh my goodness.
wrong address.
Wow.
So how does something like that even happen?
Yeah, it's hard to even fathom. I can't imagine what the family's going through right now. Just the utter shock and confusion.
Yeah, and the anger?
And the anger, yes. It's senseless.
You would think there would be some kind of safeguards in place to prevent something like this.
Exactly. You would think that, there'd be multiple levels of checks and balances to ensure that officers are going to the correct location.
Right.
Especially when there's, potential for a confrontation.
Absolutely.
So serving a warrant.
Let's back up a little bit and give everybody kind of the background
Sure.
of what led up to this tragic event.
Okay.
So the police were initially there to serve a warrant related to some stolen property,
Okay.
some lawn equipment, believe it or not.
A lot of equipment.
We're talking about a weed eater
A weed eater.
and a heater.
Okay.
And this was stolen from the home of the Laurel County judge executive,
Really?
a guy by the name of David Westerfield.
Okay, and so they had a suspect in mind.
They did. They had a suspect, a 49-year-old man named Hobart Buttery.
Okay.
But somehow, instead of going to 489 Van Zant Road, which is where the suspect lived,
Right.
the officers ended up at 511 Van Zant Road,
Wow.
the home of Douglas Harless.
So a completely different address.
Completely different address.
Unbelievable.
And to add to the confusion,
Yeah.
we've actually obtained a portion of the dispatch audio
Okay.
from that night. And you can hear the officers being very clearly directed to 489 Van Sant Road.
So there's no question that the information was communicated correctly from dispatch.
None whatsoever.
Wow, that just adds another layer of complexity to this whole situation.
It really does. And one of the things that makes this even more frustrating
Yeah.
is that the London Police Department suspended their body camera program back in March of 2023.
Oh, no, really?
Yeah.
So there's no footage of the actual encounter.
No footage.
That's a huge problem.
It's a big problem.
Body cameras are such a crucial tool for transparency and accountability,
Right.
especially in situations like this.
Absolutely.
It would have provided some much-needed insight into what happened at Mr. Harless's doorstep.
Right. What led to the officers making that fatal decision.
Exactly.
And the police department cited equipment issues and cost.
Right, the same old excuses.
Yeah. And storage as reasons for suspending the program.
It's so disheartening because we know that body cameras can make a real difference.
They can't.
They protect both the officers and the public by providing an objective record of events.
Right.
And, it's not just about catching wrongdoing.
Yeah.
It's also about building trust between law enforcement and the community.
Absolutely.
And when incidents like this happen and there's no footage available,
It just erodes that trust even further.
no, exactly. It just fuels suspicion and speculation.
Absolutely.
And it makes it so much harder to get to the truth of what really transpired.
Right. And as you can imagine, the community is outraged.
Yeah,
They're demanding justice for Douglas Harless.
as they should.
They want answers. They want to know how this could have happened.
And they deserve answers.
And they deserve those answers.
This can't just be swept under the rug.
Absolutely not.
There needs to be a thorough investigation.
Right.
There needs to be accountability. And there needs to be systemic changes to prevent this from ever happening again.
Absolutely. So right now, the Kentucky State Police are investigating the incident.
Yep.
And the officer involved has been placed on administrative leave.
Okay.
But, the question remains,
What happens next?
yeah, what happens next? How do we prevent this from happening again?
Right. That's the million-dollar question.
It is. And I think, this tragedy really brings to light the importance of accurate information. Clear procedures within law enforcement.
Absolutely. It's not just about punishing mistakes.
Right.
It's about preventing them from happening in the first place.
Right. How do we ensure that addresses are double-checked, triple-checked?
Right.
How do we reinforce training protocols to really emphasize the importance of verifying information before taking action?
And how do we make body cameras a non-negotiable tool for every single officer in every department?
Absolutely.
It's about having that extra layer of accountability and transparency.
Yeah.
You know, to protect both the officers and the public, we need to learn from this tragedy.
We have to.
We can't let Douglas Harless's death be in vain.
We can't.
We need to demand better from our law enforcement agencies.
Absolutely. And our hearts go out to the family of Douglas Harless.
Yeah.
And the entire Laurel County community as they deal with this just unimaginable loss.
Yeah. This is a loss that's going to be felt for a long time.
For a long time. And, you know, I keep going back to the thought of that could be any of us.
It really could.
You know?
Any one of us could find ourselves in a situation where a simple mistake could have devastating consequences.
Absolutely. And it just highlights the need for, you know, vigilance.
Yeah.
And for holding our, you know, systems accountable.
Absolutely. We can't afford to be complacent.
We cannot.
We have to demand better, and we have to keep fighting for justice.
For everybody.
For everyone.
Thank you for listening to Justice for the Souls podcast.
Thank you.